hello, and someone going, oh.
Oh, tax. Should we talk about tax?
Oh God,
we did a bit last week, dodgy down and all that.
Yeah. More tax. You must pay more tax if you're poor.
So is that the end of it? We drawing a line. You know, Cameron's published a summary of his tax affairs. Corbyn published his actual tax return.
His real one.
Yeah, which was late apparently.
The spun one, it was spin.
Yeah. Is that it? No.
Well, probably not. There's an article here saying Corbyn's just as bad as them.
Wow, this is Mark Steele, so I should imagine there's tongue-in-cheekness there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, is that the answer to the problem? Politicians publishing their tax returns?
I don't know. I don't think you should make them do things like that. That's a private thing, and we don't know what that. There's all sorts of things that might involve, which isn't in public interest for us to know. But the issue is honesty, isn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously the way some of the papers and whatever have spun it is saying, oh, well, they're jealous of their riches. Those poor people are jealous of how great we are. And it was, who was it who said people who aren't millionaires are layabouts?
Duncan.
Yeah, Alan Duncan was it? Yeah.
Duncan, yeah. The low achievers.
Yeah, low achievers because they haven't got £1 million.
This is a guy who claimed £4,000 on his expenses or something like that.
Yeah. And I mean, in a sense, he obviously doesn't know. He has no awareness of the real world, so it's, in a sense, it's not his fault.
What I find interesting is how it's sort of migrated onto inheritance tax, which is a really hard one for a progressive person to argue about because there is something instinctive about providing for your children, yeah, obviously. Yeah. We wouldn't get very far, as a species if we didn't. So we've got this natural urge
to not want to tax that one, yeah.
to not do that. And that's the way it's presented. I mean, that was the way it was presented on Question Time last night from the person from the Taxpayers Alliance who's on every other week. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, what's your take on inheritance tax? Is it fair? Should we abolish it? Should we cut it? Should we raise it?
If it has a very high threshold, I mean that's always the thing, isn't it? Where Bill Gates' children are earning, they're getting like 0.1% of his fortune, which is billions and billions. But it shouldn't be a high percentage anyway. It should be It should be there, but it should be a low percentage for and it should only be at a very high threshold.
Yeah. But
it should be there.
I have the same instinctive reaction. Well, I've worked all my life. Even when I die, I can't.
Can't take it with you.
Yeah, I can't take it with me. I want to give it to my kids. Give kids a bit of a. Here's the argument essentially. You go to work every day. You work all year. And let's say you earn 30 grand, say. Yeah, you're doing pretty well if you're earning 30 grand. Yeah, this is it's not a great amount of money, but you're doing all right. You worked hard. You got promotion to work and all that, and you put in a lot of time and effort. And then the government comes in and they tax you twice on that, actually. Income tax and national insurance, yeah? So you end up paying 30% of it.
Your whole life.
35% of it to the taxman, yeah? This is money you've earned. You've gone out to work to actually, get this money. But what you're saying is if you want to abolish inheritance tax, if you've done nothing, just the pure luck you happen to have been born into a wealthy family, and they give you 30 grand, you're saying,
I deserve it. Yeah, and what it's done is it's created a whole bunch of people who deserve to be rich. Cameron, in fact, is one of these people. He deserves to be Prime Minister, and he believes that it's his right, his birthright. And those are the same people who are saying, about the low achievers, and they're talking about all that kind of language. These are aren't the people who've worked their way up. These are the people who have been born into it.
Yeah.
And that's David bad for society.
David Cameron is one of those people. Now, we all say, this idea of a meritocracy, we all say, that's the way it should be. What you get out of life is, should be proportional to what you actually put in.
We all know it isn't.
And this is
obviously isn't.
Inheritance is one of those things that works in direct contradiction with that.
Yeah.
So someone like David Cameron, so there's talk that there was a lot going on to minimise the amount of inheritance tax. Things are being paid, moved around so that when his mother passes on, he won't have to pay so much inheritance tax. Now, the drive to provide for your children, surely it can only go so far.
Yeah.
Ian Cameron must have looked at David Cameron. I can't imagine him saying, well, my son, who's Prime Minister, he needs a helping hand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
You know, the guy, David Cameron's made for life, yeah. Prime Minister's gone, they go on to be boards of companies and do bugger all for lots of money.
Yeah,
the one thing he doesn't need is a hand up. Besides which, he's already had a hand up. You know, his father's bought him the best education, well, theoretically the best education he could buy, plus the social capital that comes along with that. So he knows people like Boris Johnson and George Osborne. He's gone, you know, and it's led him to go to the best university. He's done, you know, in terms of achievements, he's not achieved a great deal. I mean, he's promised at a very young age, he hasn't had the time to have a big career behind him.
Yeah. He's worked in PR.
He's worked in PR, and he's gone into politics, and next thing we know, he's Prime Minister.
I'm Prime Minister, and then as soon as Prime Minister, there's this sort of like, how dare you ask me questions? I'm the Prime Minister.
Now, if this is the politics of envy, okay, I'm engaging in the politics of envy. What I'm telling you is wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean...
It is not about people who have worked hard for money.
Yeah.
It's not those people. Those people are awesome. They are the wealth creators and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's these people who aren't, really.
I mean, there's some people you look at, like, we've said it before, Elon Musk, you just think, you know, that guy, you know, he deserves everything he gets.
Yeah.
But there are other, and it seems to be particularly bad in this country.
It does, doesn't it?
Where there's a sort of a class. I think
it's the class system.
It's the class system, isn't it? It's sort of it gets to the point where we almost presuppose that this person should be wealthy. So I think inheritance tax is right. I actually think inheritance tax probably not enough, but I actually think to argue that you are on an uphill battle.
Yes.
Because people just won't see it. They're just not thinking on that level.
Well, I don't know the numbers. Do you know the numbers? What percentage is it? What's the threshold?
Well, as I understand it, if 1 in 10 people pay inheritance tax, you're being incredibly optimistic.
Right. Yeah.
It's more like 1 in 20.
In which case, is it actually bringing in a significant amount of tax revenue?
No.
So in which case, isn't it a waste of time? Whether it's morally right or not, if it's not bringing in tax revenue a significant amount, there's no point in doing it. It just upsets people.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean, a worthless tax is probably, you know, do it, but maybe we should increase it so we get more from it. But it's interesting how this issue of David Cameron having offshore tax affairs has morphed into an issue about inheritance tax.
Yes, that's not an accident, is it?
No, that isn't an accident. But I mean, on the upside, all this talk about taxes put government under incredible pressure, and actually it looks like they're starting to do something about it now. So George Osborne has got together with some EU buddies, and they're saying they're going to strike a hammer blow to tax evasion and tax avoidance. Not really the be all and end all, but you know, it just shows you put a bit of pressure on them in the right areas and things change. In Duncan Smith resigns, all of a sudden disabled people aren't thrown to the wolves straight away.
Nice.
You know,
that's
a little bit later. Yeah, so you can get them to change. You've just got to hit them in the right area.
See you next week.